water, earth, fire, air.
Everyone, and welcome to another video. So my sister and I just got through watching Avatar: The Last Airbender Live Action on Netflix. It dropped today, which is February 22nd. I hope to get these reviews up every week really quickly, but I do have other videos coming out and I only do reviews on Friday, so hopefully it comes out pretty soon. But I did watch it on the 22nd of February, which is today. I'm reviewing it on that day. It's very fresh in my mind because we watched the first 2 episodes, so let's get right into this. My review for episode 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender Live Action. So, immediately, my thoughts when I was watching the trailers was how good visually everything looks, and that is very true. As you're watching the show, it is absolutely beautiful visually. The nations that we've seen so far, the airbending, Southern Air Temple, the Northern Water Tribe in episode 1, both of those looked absolutely fantastic. We did get to see, I believe it was Zuko's ship, and I feel like there was a little bit of a Fire Nation area. I think that was episode 2. We just watched both of them, so I'm kind of like, I saw them back to back. So overall, visually, everything looks amazing. The costumes are phenomenal, and I actually really love how all the characters and the people look like the characters from the animation. I feel like they brought them to life, but in a way that's obviously realistic to bring it to live action. I feel like the movie that shall not be named, that was made several years ago, failed in that aspect, that the characters didn't look the same and they didn't copy the costumes or the site of any of the nations and stuff. So the Southern Water Tribe village, they actually filled it in, I guess. There's all kinds of different items and different things like that you would see in a village that lives in the ice like that. And I feel like they added more people as well, and so they just basically filled it out and made it seem really realistic and everything. So it starts off with the Air Nomad Temple, and we get to see Sozin, Fire Lord Sozin, and a little bit of background there. So everything that we learn about Aang in flashbacks in the animated series during the one particular episode called The Storm, all of Aang's backstory and what happened then is kind of revealed there, other than when he goes to the Southern Air Temple and finds out that they're all gone. So we kind of start off that way, but it makes sense with an adult series like this on Netflix, where you want to kind of give context and history to the audience early. There was a little bit of a, what is that called? A prologue, where what was going on was kind of summarized for the audience in a way that felt like the animated show, when Katara comes on and says her stuff. So there was that as well. I think it was Avatar Kyoshi's voice. And then I loved the Air Nomad. So the fighting, absolutely phenomenal. They use real martial arts, because the original series, each bending technique was based off a different type of martial art that fit one particular bending style or another. For instance, water bending is a lot slower, more like Tai Chi. Earth bending is very solid and stoic and unmovable. I don't know the specific styles other than Tai Chi, but different, so like that. And I feel like they brought that to life. The bending looks really good. The elements look real. The opening fight sequence has this earthbender and some firebenders, and the earthbending looks so real. The firebending does too, but when it's animated, it's okay, it's animated, it's fun. I love the animated show, grew up with it. I've been waiting for this live action for a long time, but I love the animated show. But it does kind of you can't picture a fight actually happening between the elements in a realistic way, at least for me, just because it's animated. And so seeing the elements brought to life like this really made me see how an earthbender could actually fight against a firebender, because it felt and looked very real. So Appa looks fantastic. He looks really good. Aang, his acting, I feel like, is spot on, and he really captures Aang's joy and how he's a kid, but also the seriousness and the whole burden of being the Avatar and stuff. I thought Monk Gyatso was fantastic. He's a good actor. I can't think of his name or what he's in, but I know he's been in other things before. So then we get to Katara and Sokka. Sokka is not sexist, but they do have a similar dynamic where they do argue a lot, but they love each other. They did really ramped up Sokka's burden of being the warrior in the tribe, and he is actually a warrior, so he can fight, which sometimes got a little silly in the animated show. And I feel like it actually emphasized and kind of made that a little bit more mature, with Sokka literally being one of the oldest boys there and having the burden of protecting the village to himself, like all on his own. Katara didn't actually do a whole lot of like water bending. Like, she starts off pretty like level 0, and which in the animated show, she starts off only knowing a little, but she can still waterbend pretty well, but she just gets better over time. She starts off not knowing a whole lot and learning as the show goes, but this one really emphasized that she can't do a whole lot at all, and I really liked that. The bending looks really good as usual. The water bending looks fantastic. The look and feel, the costumes really feel like Southern Water Tribe, and for me, they've definitely started to set apart the 4 nations and the different cultures, which is really, really fantastic. I feel like, based on what I've watched in these episodes, they have kept the joy and the fun of the show intact while taking out some of the sillier parts that don't really kind of serve the narrative, if that makes sense. Things were escalated a little bit, the pacing moved pretty quickly for the fact that there's actually like more time in I think the runtime of these 8 episodes are actually 20 minutes longer than the runtime of the original first season, so technically there's more time, so they could do like a direct scene by scene, you know, adaptation if they wanted to, but they're not, and they're still moving the pacing forward. So it seems to indicate to me that the pacing is moving pretty quickly, so they're probably going to spend a lot more time in the finale in the Northern Water Tribe than you know, the animated one. And so because of that, Aang does find out everything from the village. Katara and Sokka's grandmother kind of knows everything, but at first I was like, because he wasn't supposed to know. I mean, I think he discovers that it's been 100 years, but he still kind of like doesn't register that they're all dead or gone until they get to the Southern Air Temple, which is a whole nother episode. And then I do believe there's a few episodes kind of like on their journey, so they make a lot of random stops along the way that kind of don't really have anything to do with the plot line, which makes sense that those would have been cut. So it goes pretty quickly from when Zuko attacks to try to get Aang, and Aang gets rescued. The fight scene with Aang getting rescued was a little faster, but they go straight there to the air temple, so it's just like, I mean, instant scene cut kind of thing, but it makes sense that that would be the first place that he would want to go. So I was worried about that because it was supposed to impact Aang when he does find out, and it did cut out that Sokka and Katara hid that from him. However, hearing about them being gone and seeing them and actually seeing Monk Gyatso's skeleton, they did keep that, and that still impacts Aang the same way. The other thing that they did change that I wasn't sure about at first, but I come to like it, which I'll get on the changes in a minute, was when he goes in the Avatar state at Southern Air Temple, triggered by Monk Gyatso's death and the death of all the airbenders. Katara grabs his hand and is the one to calm him down. And in this one, it doesn't work that way. And the reason why is because he flies up higher and he's stirring up a lot of wind, and it's strong enough to start like knocking the air temple apart. Like, it's mega powerful, and realistically in real life, like if that was real, you couldn't just walk up and grab his hand. For one, he's too high up, he's in the air, and for two, there's buildings flying around, so you're gonna get crushed if you get too close, and the wind's so strong you can't get close. I mean, it's picking up stone, you're not gonna get that close. And so it made sense for Katara not to be the one to make him down, and because of the faster pace, this is all in the same day, so he doesn't know Katara very well at this point, as opposed to in the show they'd had couple days and travel time together in the animated one, and it was like more memories of Monk Gyatso that calmed him down, which still meant a lot. So to me, it wasn't a change that really was a negative thing. I love Iroh and I love Zuko. I feel like Zuko looks very young, but I think it's the Zuko ponytail, kind of the face shape and everything just makes him look younger. But the Zuko ponytail, it was a very specific look in the animated show that is going to be hard to make it look good, so to speak, in the live action, and I feel like they did a good job with it. I did kind of like the scars, not very bright, but again, realistically, burn scars are not like this bright red thing that you would see in animation, so they're they're adapting everything from the animated show to the live action, but in a realistic way. And so that's kind of what my sister and I were talking about, and my conclusion with the changes that they've made is that they're different but not bad, and I am okay with it. I think a lot of it is that, you know, my sister and I grew up with Avatar, and we've been with the animated show for so long that any sort of difference feels odd, just because we've used to this one. Like, this is the only thing we've ever had was the animated show. So any sort of change is obvious to us, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. And in fact, I actually don't mind it. And I like that the maturity level is a little bit higher. It's not for, you know, 10 to 12-year-olds anymore. It is an adult show. It's not like mature. You know, I would say that kids could still watch it, but I'm just saying they are kids in the show. They are teenagers. But because of the circumstances around them, they've had to grow up too fast, and it just, the maturity level is more what I like. I would say a little bit more gritty, which I like. I really, really love that. And it kind of like ages enough to where all of us that grew up with the show, it fits our ages now to me. And so I really like it. So that was my review for episode 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So yeah, that's my review. Overall, I really, really love it. And I feel like it's honors the original, changing new stuff, so it's new enough to really intrigue me to be interested in what else is going to be different, while also honoring what came before. And again, it's live action, so this is kind of a dream come true for me. So what did you guys think of it? Have you seen it? Have you seen the original? You know, if you haven't seen the original and you're just coming into this show just blind, what do you think of it? Let me know. And if you have seen the original animation, what do you think of the live action? Let me know in the comments below. And in the meantime, if you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And in the meantime, if you liked my review of episode 1, then check out my reaction to the trailers. I've been super, super hyped about them, so check them out. You don't want to miss them.